Welcome back to the Gyrl podcast. I'm Kyra. All right, let's welcome Tina to the show. Welcome, Tina.
Hi, Kyra. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you're here. So, why don't we go ahead and get started by having you tell the audience listening or watching who you are and what you do?
My name is Tina, like you said, and I am a nutrition coach. And so I help women deal with their emotional eating struggles. So people that have been cycling on and off of a diet for most of their life, or people that just don't really know how to enjoy food anymore. They feel like they've lost control. Those are the kind of women that I like to help. And we like to just work together one-on-one and slowly work on their relationship with food and try to help them heal themselves in their relationship.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So, actually, you answered my first question because that was the question I was going to ask you is really about the types of women you work with. But I think the work that you do definitely is so very important because, many people have this emotion, different relationships with food where they may eat because they are dealing with emotions. They may eat because they're stressed from work. They may just eat just because food is there sometimes, right? And I think that happens to a lot of people. So this work that you do by just being able to sort of help people identify, are you able to, like in the work and the people that you work with, are you able to sort of help people identify for a lack of a better way of saying it, like triggers that will lead them to eat to food?
Yeah, so identifying triggers is actually a really important part of the whole process because we need to know what it is that makes us want to keep eating food. Because
Mhm,
a lot of the time it's not hunger, right? It's not always just hunger. We
mhm,
know that we tend to eat even if we are full. So what is that driving force that's making you want to eat? And so we work together to discuss feelings, habits, behaviors, emotions, and really try to figure out where those emotions and cravings are coming from.
mhm,
Sometimes, I mean, a lot of the times it is subconscious, but sometimes I wanted to say it's a habit that we don't even think about anymore. So initially, the habit that we develop because food is a coping mechanism, right? So
mhm,
initially, when we start to develop these habits, say you feel stressed and you eat ice cream, and
mhm,
ice cream calms down that stress response. Well, eventually, the novelty of the ice cream wears off, and then it doesn't really work to calm down the stress response anymore.
mhm,
So next time you feel stressed, you still have that desire to eat ice cream, but
mhm,
then you eat the ice cream and it's not helping your stress anymore. So you're
mhm,
still stressed, so you still want to eat more ice cream. So it you have to take a couple of steps back and see where is that behavior coming from and then understand if it's still helping you or maybe finding another behavior that can replace it that will have a better success rate and something that will help you towards your goals, actually.
mhm. Now, do you find sometimes that people, well, obviously people come to you, they realize that there may be an issue, right? Or something that they need help with. But do you find sometimes where maybe people are just like oblivious to the fact, like you just mentioned, like that habit of almost like, oh, when I'm stressed, I do this. Because I think we all do it, right? We all
Mhm.
have like been in a place where we're like, oh, I'm just gonna grab, I'm stressed, I don't have time to eat. I'm so busy. So I'm just going to grab something. And generally, when people just grab something, it's generally not a healthy thing, right? It's just
Mhm.
like the fast thing that they just pick up on the way. And I'm just using saying I'm using the example of like work from home because I work from home. And there was a period of time before like I said, you know what? I gotta eat. Right. I gotta change this relationship of just like, oh, I don't have time, so I'm just gonna grab something and then come back to my desk. And I think like maybe even like things like that, right? When you are eating at your desk, whether you're in the off like working in an office or working at home, like that's a bad habit sometimes because you will tend to get the wrong thing and eat at your desk because you're thinking, oh, I just need something fast.
Mhm. So when I work with my clients, I also work to educate them on nutrition and eating styles that work best for people.
Hmm.
And so I really believe that the both of them together is what's going to help people in the long run because you can develop good eating habits, but you also need to know what good food is, right? So the first thing we do is we educate people on getting like a high fiber diet, high protein diet, and limiting processed and added sugars as much as possible. So when you have that information, and you know that this is the kind of food that's going to help you feel better.
Hmm.
Hopefully, when you are running somewhere to get food, you choose maybe like the sandwich with tuna salad that has protein in it versus just like a croissant. You
Hmm.
choose the stuff that will be a little bit better for you and
Hmm.
that will help you feel a little bit better. But I think when the people come to me, they know that they are in this dire situation and they really,
Hmm.
really need help. So most of the time, people come with very open minds and they are ready
Hmm.
to try a lot of things. And so I don't think anyone is resistant when I say that, your stress is probably driving your emotional eating. I think
Hmm.
everyone kind
Yeah.
of understands that.
Yeah.
And so, again, it comes back down to understanding where that is and why that happens. And I think with the setup that we do, it becomes even more interesting. So, by setup, I mean like it's important to prep food so that you have healthy options available.
Hmm.
And so when you have that healthy lunch available, but then you're still like, I don't want to eat it. I know it's right there, but I want to go grab the croissant instead.
Hmm.
Then you're like, okay, like what's really happening? Like, what is it about the croissant? Like you can clearly see you have the two options in front of you, right? But like
Hmm.
your whole body is just telling you, like, no, I don't want this healthy version, even
Hmm.
though I know it's going to help me get towards my goal. I want the bad version, like bad in quotation marks. And so you
Hmm.
just have to ask yourself, like, where is this coming from? Why do I want this? Like, both options are right there. It's
Hmm.
not any different kind of work to grab one or the other, but why am I so drawn to the one that is not going to get me towards my goals?
Hmm. So I think that's a very interesting point and a great example because that does happen like all the time where and you can, people can meal prep and stuff. And I remember like when I worked with people and they were like, oh, I I prepped this meal, but like I don't really want to eat this. I want to go get some fries. Or, and it's like, okay, maybe one day. Like, okay, but then it's like, I'm gonna get the fries again, and they just
Hmm.
continuously continue to eat bad. But I think I know that you work with your clients. It's not just, you saying, oh, here's, like I love that it's like nourishing like the mind through educating and then the body and the soul, to help people achieve like those food and fitness goals. But when you have someone that is oh my gosh, wait, my train of thought, it was there and it just went away. So I'm gonna trying to bring it back. Um really, it's like, how do you work with people on that mindset shift? Because just like you just mentioned, and the example you gave, it's very much like a power of the mind, like a choice. When you decide to say, I'm going to eat the croissant or I'm going to eat the tuna, so, like, how do you work with people, in, I guess, helping them sort of to develop? Because it's also to like setting boundaries in a sense, right? Like, you have to be able to set some boundaries so that when you're faced with these situations, that you take the right path.
There are a lot of strategies that I use with people. I think the first one we always go to is the power of the pause, slowing down and
Mm.
making deliberate decisions. So, in that scenario where you have the healthier option and the snackier option, I don't like calling it bad because I don't believe in bad food. The snackier option, if you're able to take a step back and slow down and just like really
Mhm.
consider it, the more space you create between your craving and the action, the better you will be able to respond and the better you'll be able to make better
Mhm.
decisions for yourself. So first and foremost, we always, always, always slow down, take a big deep breath, and consider what's in front of you, and then run through the options. Because I don't believe in counting calories. I don't believe in restrictive diets. I really believe
Mhm,
in intuitive eating and listening to your body. And
mhm,
so that means that in some instances, my desire might be greater than my desire for the croissant might be
mhm,
greater than the desire for the future goal. And that's okay. That's what I'm
mhm,
choosing in that moment. But what I really want to do is to be able to control my actions
mhm,
and really decide for myself and not let that body or that urge decide for me. It's going to be like a conscious decision that I choose
mhm,
for myself. It's like I'm going to treat myself today and have the croissant because I've been craving one for so long
mhm.
and I really, really want it today. Croissant is like one of my favorite foods. I don't know if you can tell. So yeah, that is the process that we always start with, slowing
Mhm,
down, because slowing down is just a critical skill for us to have in every aspect of life. So the more that you can practice that, the more that it will carry over into other areas of your life, and you might find yourself being able to have make better decisions elsewhere as
mhm,
well.
mhm.
And then
Yeah.
a second thing I want to talk about briefly is identity change.
Mhm,
And you really have to almost become a different person in order to change these habits that have been ingrained in you for so long. So, when you are trying to break these new habits, just imagine yourself as the person that you want to be and think to yourself, what would that person do? So,
mhm,
if I was a runner and I needed to train for an event, if I have two choices in front of me, run or not run, well, if I'm a runner, then I'm going to choose run because that's going to take me in the direction that I want to go,
mhm,
right? That's a very basic example, but I think you get what I mean. Just
mhm,
embody the person that you want to be, and
mhm,
often that will lead you to the right decision.
mhm. I really like that. And I really appreciate, pausing and slowing down and sort of like honoring, like to make the right call. But I also appreciate that you said, like, look, but if your desires outweigh you doing the right thing in this one moment, it's okay. Because I think a lot of times people, especially I find when it relates to foods, and when we're trying to make that change, and people like, uh doing the, what might be considered the wrong thing and then beating themselves up and then sort of spiraling, right? Because it may be, well, I ate bad and now, I'm not going to lose weight. And then it maybe just like trickles to, then I may as well eat this thing. I may as well. So I really appreciate that you're leaving that room for grace. Like you still have to give yourself grace through the process because it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. And we take things to extremes now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just easier on us and in the long run if we just do everything in moderation. And for example, if you go back to the example of the choice between a healthy meal and a croissant, if you went to the extreme and you made that healthy meal like a kale salad with like no dressing because you think dressing is too fat and you just put
Mm-hmm.
like a little bit of, I don't know, tomatoes on there for flavor, like obviously you're going to choose the croissant, right? Because that just sounds so
Yeah.
gross. But if you gave yourself the grace and you're like, oh, I can put some cheese on my salad because cheese is going to make this yummier and I can throw some like toasted nuts and stuff, then that healthier option
Mhm.
doesn't seem so daunting, right? Like it's not less healthy just because you put a little bit of dressing on it
Right.
or a little bit of cheese. Like you can
Mhm.
take the baby steps and you can make it easier on yourself. Because I'm just saying all of this because I used to be that person where when I
Mhm.
made a salad, it was literally just lettuce and like all of the grossest vegetables I could put in, but nothing fun. And
Yeah.
so when I'm left with that decision, obviously I don't want this disgusting salad that I made for myself. It will never ever win. So just set yourself up for winning and take baby steps.
Mhm.
And eventually, as you start to eat more and more salad, your taste buds might adjust and you might be able to add a little bit extra vegetable next time.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe that the slower and more deliberately we take this process, the longer the habits will stick and the better it will be to live out. Like it won't be so
Mm-hmm.
difficult.
Yeah. Yes, I thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that because I think that is something people need to hear. Like in this world we live in, I know it's often like instant gratification. Like I want it now, right now. And as someone who's on a health journey, like I always tell myself, like, I didn't gain weight overnight.
Mhm.
So you can't expect for the weight doesn't just fall off overnight. The weight is going like doing it the health, doing it the right way. And like you said, and sort of just like making changes to that become habits, excuse me, that become habits and then and changing like foods and then, and it's like, oh, okay, like that thing isn't so bad that I, thought it's not bad. I can do this. Oh my gosh, I got something in my throat. Sorry, pardon me.
All good.
It's like a tickle in my throat, everyone. But I love that because I think you're right. We usually take things to the extreme. And it's just like I had to go cold turkey. I got to stop eating these things. And then, I mean, then it works for a little while. And then you come back and you gain like double the weight because you just went cold turkey.
Yeah, you can rebound. If you cut out carbs completely, you're gonna have that day where it's like, oh man, that croissant sounds so good right now, and then you end up eating five of them. And like I am completely speaking from experience because I've been trying to lose weight or trying to go on a diet for, I don't know, 15 years of my life now, maybe 20 years. And I think I've done everything under the book. I even went so far as to do a 4-day fast, just trying
Mhm.
everything that I possibly
Mhm.
could. And it's just you're just miserable the whole time as well.
Yeah.
But if you're just giving yourself the grace, like you said, to take the baby steps and just make it
Hmm.
long lasting, it just becomes more fun along the way and you're able to stick to it better.
Yes.
And when you have that gradual change, your identity starts to shift with it as well. And then it becomes even easier to start choosing the better
Mhm.
decisions.
Yeah. And I like the second thing that you mentioned about just sort of like envisioning like the future you and like what would that you do? And that's very powerful in itself because it could be the difference between you saying, I'm going to eat the fifth croissant versus maybe the future me would just have the one.
Mm. And it's a
Awesome.
lot easier to be able to make decisions when you ask yourself that question,
Hmm.
because I feel like you already have all of the answers in yourself and you
Hmm.
already know everything it is that you need to do. You just have to choose it. And so if you could just imagine like you today is doing this for future you,
Hmm.
then it makes it a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think so too. Because when you think about that and you think about the reasons why you're doing something, like I think those are also important too, right? Like if you're telling yourself, like if you're telling us, and I know we all take health journeys for different reasons, but like a reason when I'm saying it is like, oh, because I want to live a long time. Like I want to live, I want to enjoy life. I don't want to be sick, right? And whatever your like reasons, I mean, just also I think those are very valid in why you're doing something. So if you're like, if I was just saying, oh, because I want to lose 20 pounds because I want to fit in the dress. I mean, I'm not saying that's not valid, but it's not a sustainable reason, right? It's like, okay, what am I going to do after I lose 20 pounds? Am I going to go back to like picking, I don't know, French fries every time, versus like when you're trying to lose the weight. Like, so I think like all the things that you coach and teach people, like it does help them to prepare for a sustainable future and not just for like a one and done.
Mhm. And what you mentioned about the goal of losing 20 pounds to fit in a dress, that's totally a valid goal. The only issue is that if people go on an extreme diet and like that's their only goal, well, then you
Hmm.
haven't built the lifestyle or the habits or
Exactly.
anything in order to keep it and make it stick. So as
Yeah.
soon as you reach your goal and you think, oh, this is it, I'm done, it's all going to go back and you're
Hmm.
just going to go back to where you started.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. That is so true. All right. So Tina, talk about, so I know you said you work one-on-one with people. So what do your programs look like? And how can people work with you?
So right now I am only doing one-on-one with people and they can just contact me through my website. And basically we sign up for a minimum commitment of 6 months because I really believe it takes a long time, 6 months, in order for us to really build that habit change. And
Hmm.
it takes a while to really start to see progress sometimes when you're doing it this slowly. But once you start seeing the progress, it all becomes easier and easier because we've really worked on building the appropriate mindset and so that when you face struggles in the future, you have all of the goals and tools that we've worked on along the way in order to help you through your struggles. So we build a foundation of nutrition, habits, and goals, and then
Hmm.
we build on that every month.
Awesome. I love that. So let me ask you this question because you are a busy woman, and there are probably a lot of other busy women and men listening to this show. How do you stay grounded in your own like journey?
I think self-reflection is huge. So always thinking about why something is important to you, why you want to do what you do, why the goals that you've set for yourself are, like which direction you want to go in. I
Mhm.
think that is like the big answer. But something tactical that I've been doing more recently is setting alarms on my phone.
Mm.
And alarms, I used to set multiple alarms throughout the day, but now I don't need it so much. But I would set an alarm every day to ring at around maybe 10 a.m. And it would
Mhm.
just be like my breathe alarm. So every time the
Mhm.
alarm goes off, I stop whatever I'm doing and I just take a minute to breathe and reset my nervous system.
Mhm.
And lately, my alarms that I've set are for exercise. So I do work from home a lot as well. And sometimes that means I'm sitting all day. And
Mhm.
so lately, I've set alarms to get up and go do something. I have right now multiple alarms throughout the day, um, telling me to do like 10 air squats or 10 push-ups. And every time it goes off, just like go do something. Um, and I like that because it's really easy just to set a repeating alarm on your phone every day. And if you can't get to it right away, you just hit snooze and it'll come back 10 minutes later.
Mhm.
So setting alarms as little reminders just to keep yourself on track. I even used to actually set affirmation alarms. So I would
Mhm.
have an alarm that would used to go off and be tell me like I love you or like have a great day or like
Mhm.
you are enough.
Mhm. Mhm. I like that. Awesome. I love that. And I think that is, I think we need those reminders during the day because we often get so busy that we forget to like tell ourselves, like, those things to like calm down, breathe. Because if you go through like five meetings and you're like, then you have to like take that moment to step back. So, all right, Tina, tell everyone how they can connect to you.
So my website is tinasarena.com, TINASARENA.com. And on Instagram, I don't know if you can see my name there. It's Tina's underscore arena underscore. That's me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel as well.
Awesome. All right. And we'll also drop those links in the show notes as well. All right. So now we're going to transition to three things with Tina. I'm going to ask you three questions that helps our audience get to know you a little bit better. So the first one is a two-parter. How do you start and end the day?
I don't do anything special, I have to admit. I wake up, and go on my phone. And before I sleep, I'm on my phone. So I don't follow the no screens rule.
Yeah.
But I wake up, I have a protein shake for breakfast. It's a coffee protein shake. So
Mhm.
if anyone's heard that thing where it's like don't have coffee immediately wake when you wake up, I totally have coffee as soon as I wake up. I have my coffee protein shake and then I let it settle in my stomach for 20 to 30 minutes and then I'm off to the gym to work out. And
Mhm.
that's my morning. And nighttime, I'm usually having dinner around 7 and then relaxing. And then, like I said, scrolling through Instagram in bed a little bit before I go to sleep around 11.
Nice. All right. The second question is, what's a goal or intention that you set for yourself this year?
I am doing a Spartan. Actually, I already achieved this one. So the goal was to do a Spartan trifecta weekend, which Spartan is like an obstacle course race. And the trifecta weekend, they have multiple races in one weekend. So
Mm-hmm.
to get the trifecta weekend, you have to do a 21 kilometer, a 10 kilometer, and 5 kilometer in the span of one weekend. So that was a big one. And I did that, I think, for the first time in June.
Congratulations. All
Thank you.
right. And the last question is, where are you currently finding inspiration?
Instagram. Instagram is my home.
Uh-huh.
I find lots of recipes that I love on Instagram. I love scrolling through finding food recipes and seeing dietitians talk about
Mhm.
recommendations for what to eat. Although there are a lot of people and wellness influencers that are spreading a whole bunch of trash on Instagram as well. But Instagram is going to be the big one. It's not as, fancy as some other people might say, but I love Instagram.
Yeah. Hey, whatever works for you, right? Um, all right. And before I let you go, I have to ask you one last thing. What are three things you'd like the audience to take away from our conversation today?
The first would be that you already know everything that it is you need to do. Just listen to yourself, listen to your body, and you will find the way. Second thing would be to practice pausing because that's going to carry over in a lot of different areas in your life. And third thing is to move. Exercise is proven to be one of the best ways to help with our mental health. And dancing specifically has been shown in a really small study. So you can't make big correlation from it, but dancing has been shown to be more effective than SSRIs. So you can heal yourself through exercise. Maybe
Mhm.
not completely, but you can definitely start with exercise.
Awesome. Well, Tina, thank you so much for sharing today with the community. You can always come back here in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. Great
Awesome.
conversation.
Thank you. Stay tuned, everyone. I'll be right back.